Hello and welcome to the Hillcrest Football Review. One of the most exciting Hillcrest football reviews that we have ever had, because this past Friday night, the Hillcrest Patriots defeated the Hoover Bucs for the first time in school history. Coach Mitchell is the man who made it happen. Coach, just give us your feelings like right after the game.
Well, man, I really struggled Friday. I got really sick about mid-morning.
Really?
Yes, just terribly sick. I missed pregame meal. I missed our pregame walkthrough. I really struggle. But man, I feel a little bit robbed that I didn't get to enjoy every bit of that. But
Right.
what a day it was, and just so excited for our kids, our community, our school, and that's a game that kids will never ever forget,
Right.
no matter what happens.
That's
and
right.
It's a memory that they'll store away, and stories will be told about that night for a long time. And that's the beauty of high school football. You develop those memories that last for a lifetime. And
Yeah.
it was absolutely a special time.
It certainly was. And let's relive it now. Let's take a look at those first quarter highlights.
Yeah, couldn't have started much worse here. Opening kickoff, and we don't do a very good job fielding the ball, and they do a great job of covering it down here, and we end up starting on a long field, and it's just bad football right there. We've got to handle the ball, and we got to do a better job in the return game, and they just completely blew this on first down. Just did not even cover Caden. The corner was in there on.
That's not a good choice ever.
No, it's not. And I thought this first drive was just about flawless. You draw one up, and this is the way you'd like for it to be. And I thought offensively, in the first quarter especially, we would have struggled to have been much better. And Caden, doing exactly what you would hope he would do, converting some big plays, running through some tackles, and then Jacoby and Javion Lowe. I don't know how much more you can brag on those guys. And huge mental mistake there on 3rd and 1, a false start, and just a bad deal. But good gracious, man, the throw and the catch here to Caden, and a big play on 3rd and 6, and then an easy touchdown for us right there. Like I say,
that big pass play is what we talk about with Jordan having no fear.
Yeah,
he just covered a little bit. He's like, I'm throwing it in there.
No
Let's
doubt.
do it.
And the ball couldn't have been placed better. Just an incredible throw. Can't say enough about Elijah Miller, man. What that guy's meant to us and will continue to mean. And defensively, I thought we did your coaches talk all the time about it. The bend but don't break philosophy. And we gave up some yardage, but at the same time, we kept them off the field for the majority of the scoring opportunities, and we'll get a 3 and out to start the game right there. We get another really good punt return right here. It's about a 15-yard punt return, and that's first down and a half.
And tack 15 on for the late hit.
That is correct. Yep. And then Caden with another, just a simple hitch. He runs through a tackle, and I think we had 5 explosives of 20 or more yards, and just some really big plays for our offense. And go back to speed option here, and Jordan does a great job of getting this ball in the end zone for us. Needs to be a little bit better on ball security, but just 2 outstanding drives again, set up by the punt return and special teams play, and like you say, the 15 helped on that. But and then just a massive special team play here. Again, people don't realize. I mean, that happened because where Elijah kicked the ball. And that's stuff that's taught and coached, and he's just done another outstanding kick right here. He forced him into a fair catch. Back around the 20, and then Zay Hall kind of saves us here on a big tackle. Again, we're trying to play a 3-1 box, which is inviting to the run game, and trying to be much better in coverage, and really stresses the box people. It's just a really light box, and not a lot of guys in there to defend the run. And I thought those guys held up well. We're going to give up a few yards in doing that, but at the same time, we're trying to keep the ball in front of us and make people go the whole length of the field. And Katoris Hayward right there with a really good play, and played well for us in the secondary. Good pressure right here by Zay, and like I say, they're certainly not talent thin over there. They got plenty of really good players, and our secondary continues to grow. I'm excited about their growth and development. We don't hide from that. I think that's the weakest part of us. But there are kids that are really working their tail off to get better. And I thought this was a great hustle play right here. The Winston kids probably as elite as anybody in the state, and just making some plays to keep them out of the end zone. We get a break there with a holding call and backs them up. And I thought there were several times in this game, like I say, we get a little bit of a break there too, but that our defense forced them into field goal situations and not touchdowns. So I think that's as important as anything is playing good red zone defense, not giving up scores when they're in the red zone. And prime example right here, we force them into a field goal instead of a touchdown, and probably dodged a few bullets right there that we're thankful for. But I mean, 22-3 lead, just really off and flying, and really frustrated with the second quarter. We just we didn't execute in the second quarter.
Well, it was one of those things, jumped out to such a huge lead, but you're like, okay, you're playing Hoover.
Yep.
They're not just going to lay down and die. We kind of had a feeling that they would scratch their way back.
Yep, and they did. Good teams, great teams are not going to just like you say, lay down and die. Just a ball right here that Jordan's got to complete. We got a guy that's open, and we just oversell that one, and we're 3 and out right there, and that's not ever good. Great punt right here by Gunner, pins him into the boundary, which is right where we wanted, and we put our defense back out there. I'm gonna tell you what, man, we left our defense on the field way too much in the second quarter, and those guys got gassed, and which is understandable when you play as many snaps as we left them out there for, and that's the offense's fault. We just didn't help them much, and they did a really good job of staying patient right here, and again, really good defense. I thought Dylan Banks played really well in the spurts that he was in there, and they get us on the screen game right here. And again, I was impressed with our open field tackling too. That's something we worked so hard on, and getting guys on the ground in space is so hard to do at this level. There's such elite receivers and running backs, and that's not an easy thing to do. And but you see a sustained drive here, and guys having to stay on the field a little bit longer than we'd like for them to, but continuing to battle. End of the first quarter, like I say, you couldn't have drawn it up much better, up 22-3.
All right, let's move on to the second quarter and see what happens.
Yep, we get good pressure right there, and I think led to an incomplete pass, which was awesome. And again, we give up. We knew that the RPO game with them is what they live and die on. And it's just the glance routes, a quick screen game. I thought Norfleet played as good as he could play at corner. He's a kid that is just such a success story. I mean, just an incredible kid. Came out, I think we've only had 1 or 2 kids to ever make it through our tryout program, and he is, and he's a starting corner for us now, so really proud of him and what he's done. And again, just a lot of white shirts chasing the football right here. We continue to, to get guys to the ball, but, they gash us a little bit on the run game there. Again, that's just a thin box, and, they took advantage here of it. We didn't defend the quarterback at all. Just a bad job defending on that particular drive. And, like you say, I mean, they're a good football team. They battled back to 22-10. And, I just thought it was imperative right here for us to be successful on offense. And we just really stubbed our toe. We just could not sustain much right here during this stretch. And, we get a good first down gain there. We're 2nd and 5. And, just a couple of missed balls right here. I know Trent Curley would love to have both of these back. We actually repeated the play call because we knew that the slant was there. And it's just 2 missed balls on back-to-back plays. And, there again, we're 3 and out. Our defense is fixing to have to go right back on the field. And, that was after about a 9-play drive that Hoover scored on previously. So we got some fatigued guys and do a great job there on stopping the run. I just don't know how you can play better than Miles Madden's playing, man. We have put so much on his plate, and his ability to stop the run in there pretty much by himself in a 3-1 box. Really good pressure right there by Jeremiah Beverly, and Zay showing elite speed right there, forces a guy out of bounds. And, that's that good guy can fly, and so can Zay. Thank goodness, big guy that can really run like that. But just they're putting together a substantial drive here, and again man, how much better can you cover a guy than DJ's got him covered right there?
That was just tough luck right there.
It was, he needs to make that play. He needs
right.
to pick that ball, and he doesn't, and that just leads to extending a drive, keeping our defense on the field longer than we need to be. Another great tackle right here by Norfleet. He's he is our smallest defender, but one of our toughest, and defensively, just continuing to battle in there and finally give in. And like I say, man, we got a ball game now. It's did a really good job here on the 2-point play again. And
every little thing like that made such a big difference in this game.
Sure did. 22-16, and there again, we've gone 2 consecutive 3-and-outs, and not so much of what they did, but our lack of ability to execute on offense. And we're desperate now, trying to get something going, and they do a great job pursuing to the toss sweep right here. And this is another ball Jordan needs back. He boots into a stand-up in, and he knows better than that. Ball gets knocked down, and then here's another crossing route that he misses. He's just getting too far outside the box, and 3 ugly downs right there for us. And he certainly didn't play very well in that stretch. But another good punt here. Great coverage by our punt unit. We work so hard in our special teams here. We want to be so good at it, and I think it has shown certainly in some big spots. And like I say, you just imagine the downs that these guys have been left on the field right here, and so much of it's the offensive fault, not lack of fault on. I can't blame our defense. They're battling their tails off out there, and we're just sending them right back out there and not giving those guys a chance to get a real break. And Friday night was the first night we've had that it was just stifling hot. The humidity was just unbearable, and that really wore on us too. And
that can be a huge factor too, especially with the difference in the size of the school and the depth of the team. But your guys fought through that.
They did. Hoover's got more males in their school than we have total enrollment in our school. So.
Wow.
But so proud of us right here, man. We get a punt pinned at the 1, and to come off the goal line right here. This is late in the half, and don't need to put our defense back out there. And we could not have been more fortunate right here to get this ball, off of our end zone, off of our goal line. And I like to say, golly, what do you say about Jacoby Harris? Javion right here busted the belly G, and I wish so bad they would have veered that to the sideline. But this kind of changed everything for us. We were just trying to get to half, and at this point we say, let's try to get some points out of this thing. And a little bit underthrown ball right there to Caden. I wish thought that was a PI, but we don't get it. Now I'm just kind of in the mindset, man, let's try to get some points out of this thing and give ourselves a chance. We didn't have any timeouts, which really hurt us, but terrible spot right there. The ball goes out to 25 and they mark it at 28, so makes this a 45-yard field goal, and
so
well within his range. We just pushed it just a little bit right. But I think the only kick he missed the other night, so we end up with a really good first half, and let me say this, good first quarter, and we were in a war.
Hey, while I'm pulling up the next quarter, Coach, I want you to tell us what happened in there at halftime.
We have a great system at half that we can do what we think is a great job of evaluating and finding some things that need to be fixed. And I thought our coaches coached their tail off at half. And, we knew on offense that we had to take care of the football and we had to keep our defense off the field some. And, my thought was, to go back and try to run the football a little bit. I had no idea we would have the success that we did. But as we started to have that success, we just kind of said, passing game's going to go out the window. We're going to lean on these guys. And, I thought midway through the third quarter and into the fourth quarter, man, they really struggled to match the physicality that we played with. And, you know me well, and that's one thing that I've always hung my hat on is the physical part of this game. And I don't think it could have shown up much bigger than what it showed in the fourth quarter the other night.
For sure. And the thing about it to me was that your team just decided that they were not going to let this happen. It was not going to go away. Let me make sure I've got the right one here. Let's see. We're going. Is this the start of the third quarter? Yeah, I believe that's correct. Okay. Yeah, but it was like we knew the rush was coming. We knew that Hoover wasn't going to die, but they didn't fold.
Correct.
They said, you are not going to come back and take this game from us, and they did everything they had to make it happen.
You're exactly right. You know, I mean, I know Hoover went in there at half, said, hey, guys, we get the football to start this second half, and let's go score and get this thing, you know, back in our advantage. And, you know, our defense had a chance to catch their breath at half, and, you know, hydration was such a big part of that. And then, like I say, the coaching and adjustments, and, you know, we make a big play right here.
This 3 and out was huge.
Huge. You know, I mean, we get them off the field and get the ball back to our offense, and we get a huge break right here. Jacoby fumbles a punt, and, you know, hard to fuss at him a whole lot because how much he does for us, but that's one of those deals that we just can't do, you know. But
heads up play on the recovery, though.
Yes, it was, you know. Another good, tough 4 or 5 yards here on Caden on a quick tunnel screen, and then, you know, another throw out here to Caden on a third down, and just a quick pass game, just so big for us. Caden running through tackles and, you know, run a reverse right here. They played it very, very well. You know, it's a hard, tough earned 4 yards right there. And then, you know, kind of started tinkering with some things here in some of our 3-back set that really led to some production. DJ right here, man. Golly, I wish we could get that guy healthy. He just
he looks good in flashes the other night, for sure.
Just still can't get him where we need him to be health wise, but you know, he's battling for us, and again, just really keeping Hoover off balance here. Like I say, we found some stuff in the run game that was really good for us, and needed to cash this in right here. But you know, it was one of those deals where I felt like, you know, we needed to get this thing to a 2-score game. Wasn't going to take much chance here, and we very questionable false start right there. But you know, we at this point in time, we just wanted to ensure that we got us into a 2-score game. Mm-hmm. So we run the belly back to the middle of the field to get Elijah set in the middle, and, you know, just a big field goal right there. This kind of game, you know, if you can keep it in a 2-score game, you feel pretty good. So really proud of our offense right there. We get a 3 and out, take it down the field, and get a field goal out of it. So, you know, another great kick by Elijah, just on the way they were aligned, where we wanted it kicked. He did a great job there of kicking the ball where we needed to go. In defense, like I say, man, the old bend but don't break mentality. Mm-hmm. You know, just continue to make them drive the length of the field. And to their credit, you know, I mean, they're going to make some plays, and great hit right there by Norfleet. You know, that kid didn't come back in the game right there. So, yeah, I thought we exerted ourselves on both sides of the ball, physical play. You know, loss of 2 right there. And, you know, A.J. Love and Deshaun Pope and Jeremiah Beverly, Jaden Scott, those guys played a lot of snaps for us the other night, and logged a lot of miles, and a lot of wear on them.
And never seemed to lose that energy.
No, you know, we feel like conditioning is a big part of us, and, you know, it's what we live and die on, you know. So we want to get in tough wars. We want to get in physical wars. We just feel like that's advantage Hillcrest when we can, you know. So miss a sack right there, and, you know, they do a great job of throwing a very contested ball down there. Kid makes a great catch on it. But again, you know, defense just not able to keep them out of the end zone. Hoover answers right back, and, you know, now we got a 2-point game. Mm-hmm. So, you know, our objective now is to take the ball and let's put together another drive and keep extending the lead. That to me was the biggest thing, is that, you know, we just had to keep extending the lead, trying desperately to keep it to a 2-score game. You know, so we went right back with some of the run game, and, you know, we just were able to find some things we really like, get a real big break here on speed option. Jacoby doesn't handle the pitch, and big third down conversion right here, Jordan to Caden. And again, Caden just running through people. And, you know, I was talking to my son this weekend who's coaching too, and he said, man, get the ball to number 3 more. So
he's good advice, right?
Yeah. But that gets us headed into the fourth quarter, and 2-point lead. And, Man, what a ball game at this point in time. A game we need to find a way to close out, and you never ever want to lose the lead in the fourth quarter. And I thought we did just a great job of really just out toughing them. And I know that sounds kind of coachish or whatever, but another huge throw right here to Caden, just running over people. And we have so badly needed Caden to be that force, and boy, he has been all of that and then some. The first 3 weeks of the season. Run the belly right here, man. Jacoby just finds a nice little crease in there, and it's a play I've run for 35 years and will never stop running it. It's one of the best things going, and one of the dumbest calls that I've made in 35 years right here. The real chaotic situation on our sideline with our coaching staff, and just terrible, terrible choice right there.
And I know what you're saying, because you could have made it a 2-score game with the extra point.
Exactly
but it looked like it was there if the flow had been a little bit better.
No question about it. I mean, the numbers were there, but there's just no excuse. And I mean, that's just 1,000% on me, and should have never ever ended up in that situation, because now we're in a 1-score game. So I'm so thankful that our kids covered up for some bad coaching, and didn't let that come. And maybe one of the biggest plays of the game, Miles Madden interception, and kind of the same thought here as it was late in the first half. Man, let's be sure we push this thing back out to a 2-score lead. Mm-hmm. We get a really big break right here, Javion, with a couple of bad plays here, but man, he was so good for us. And then Elijah Miller again. That's what we needed. Again, would have loved to have had the touchdown, but man, let's get this thing to a 2-score game, and we were able to do that. And so big for us right there to answer and push that thing back to a 2-score game. And now you play a little bit more comfortable. They got dangerous return guys right here. We're fortunate right here on the tackle. Swindle does a really good job there. Player, we're really proud of his development. Great coverage right there. We had some tight window throws.
What a play right there.
Yep, Michael Watson just played the best game he's played since we've been at Hillcrest. And they do a great job here on the screen game. It's really a double screen. We had the front side covered, and they get us on the back side of that screen and do a good job. And again, allowed some yards here, but just continuing to play. I thought this probably was play of the game right here to me, is our defense not giving up and chasing this football. And, this ball ends up down inside the 10 at the 7 or 8. And, man, our ability to keep this thing to a field goal right here, I thought, was just so big for us.
Well, also making them work so hard and use up so much clock, too.
Exactly right. They try to run it on us twice there, and Zay Hall, again, was probably one of the biggest plays of the game with a batted ball. That's a third down pass breakup. It's just huge. And, they kick the field goal, get it back to, a 1-score game. And, I just told our offensive guys, I said, look, man, we gotta have some first downs here. And, our whole mindset was not to give the football back. And, they kicked the ball over our heads, so not what we wanted, but we're a little bit worried right there whether they were going to onside kick it or not, so we kind of went with a safe return. But, man, coming off our own 20 right there, and just also wanted to put the ball in Jacoby's hands too. We want that guy to be the guy. What a great job and not going out of bounds right here. Shows you how smart he is and how much of a game situation he understands. And the nail in the coffin was this right here, a third down run.
What a run.
No doubt. Just totally destroyed them. And offensive line did such a great job. And, thought we could have, our time chart was so close right there. Now we decide we know we can get down. And we had a 3-second difference there, so we needed to burn 3 seconds.
And through this drive, too, the ball security, the guys obviously taking care of the ball. They were ripping at it, snatching at it. Yeah,
they sure were.
Great job with that. Yeah, so there you go. Your final score, 34-26. That looks beautiful, Coach.
It does.
What a great win. I know in the world of football, you can only celebrate for so long before you start having to look ahead because we got a big one Friday night.
Yeah, we've talked a whole lot in our office about the month of September.
Yeah.
This month right here is as brutal of a stretch as you're going to find in high school football. I mean, the 4 games we got this month, Hoover last week, Vestavia, Hewitt, and Hueytown, just a massive part of our schedule. And we're 1-0 in September, and, we need to find a couple of more wins in September. We really do. And we're playing a team that has really embarrassed us last year, and they are an unbelievable football team, and we got a huge challenge in front of us again.
Yeah. Well, congratulations again on one of the biggest wins in Hillcrest football history. It was fun to relive it with you.
It was.
All right. Thanks a lot, Coach. Thank you for joining us.